Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jamie. Today we are going to be going through my April reviews for every book that I read in April. We had quite a spectrum, and I had a lot more books added on than I originally anticipated. And we will get into why in a little while. I do have two books that I no longer have with me. We're going to do those first. And they're completely two ends of the spectrum, so it's going to get interesting. So starting off, I started the month off with a 5-star. I was so excited and so happy that it turned out that way. My 5-star was A Court of Rings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Absolutely, I love this. For those who haven't read the ACOWAR series, this is about Farah. She and her family grew up very, very poor. She was fighting for survival every single day, and while she was out hunting for food, she actually accidentally ends up killing a wolf that turned out to be a fae. So she goes back home, and then turns out an angry fae comes and tells her that he can either kill her or she has to go back to the Faelands with him, and that's where the story takes off. That's the first book. This is the third book in the series. This was full of nothing but political talk, war, and violence. We had many stressful moments and a lot of wrap-up. I was actually very, very surprised about that, to the point where I was concerned of what the next two are going to be about. And when I dug deep into it, because I know a lot of people ask the same questions, like, if this wrapped it up so well, what are the other two about? So they're more of going to be like a slice of life look at things. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see where she goes with the rest of the series, because in my opinion, this could have just been a trilogy. I would have been happy with it just being trilogy. I'm more confused at the fact that there's more books. But I gave this a 5-star. I always love the characters. They're so well done. The storytelling was well done, and so was the plot. I just loved everything about this book. It was not as good as A Court of Mist and Fury. I would have to say, out of the three I've read so far, A Court of Mist and Fury has been my favorite. But this one was good. It was never a dull moment. Ever. So really enjoyed this. Very happy with it. On to the other one I no longer have anymore, and that would be a DNF, because I tried reading The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. This book I ended up giving a 3 because the idea was there and I knew where it was supposed to take me. It's just, it was so bland and so boring. And to be honest, I had just gotten done reading The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis last month, I believe, and it seemed very, very similar vibes as this one, but I got more out of the other one than I did this one. It's like Fiona Davis showed me the potential of what it could be, and then this one was just the elementary version of it. Not really elementary in the writing. The writing was fine, but it was so drawn out, unnecessary sentences, unnecessary words. It just seems meh to me, to the point where I got bored. I didn't want to continue reading with it anymore. I have been working on my DNFs, trying to get more into the book before I decide to DNF it. Lately, I've been trying to get at least 50, 60, 70 maybe pages before I DNF the book. I think I got about like 65 into this one, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. So that one is gone. I took it with me on my second-hand Charles trip, if you guys watched that. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Those are the two I do not have anymore. Getting into the physical books that I have been wanting to read this for a long time, and I'm glad I finally did. This is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is considered a classic book. Now I know why. The best way to sum up the story is, it is a mix. For those who've read The Vanishing Half, about the two sisters, it's a tie between that book and The Help. This one I ended up giving a 4.75. It was written in letter form, which I thought was really, really interesting, but it also made it a lot easier to get through the book. I did listen to the audiobook on this one. It was actually really good. I do recommend listening to the audio on this one. I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed The Help, if you enjoyed The Vanishing Half, I think you guys would enjoy this. So this is about many ladies. I think they pronounced it Shelley? I believe. Something like that. Shagavery and Nettie. Nettie is her sister. They started off not very great in their lives. They have a lot of family history going on. Her sister ends up leaving after she gets married. She ends up not seeing her again. It's wondering what happened to her sister in like the back of her head sometimes. What's going on with her husband, because her husband is very abusive towards her. She's kind of always got that in her life, so she's never stood up for herself. Another lady walks into her life and starts completely changing it. So I really enjoyed this. It was definitely full of a lot of racial slang, a lot of abuse, many different kinds, and just very bad situations. But it was still a powerful story, and I'm still glad that I got to read it. I think she's just a really great author, to be honest. I love the audiobook because they did take some of the southern twang that she spoke with. Kind of like how they did The Help. They did that in the audiobook as well. It was perfect. So that pretty much sums up that one. Next one that I got to for this month was Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. I went into this knowing it was a thriller. I didn't expect the amount of content warnings, and actually got the content warnings. I'll even give you guys the content warnings because this book is really crazy. It's about a lady named Paris. She is married to a very famous comedian, and one day she comes back early from her trip because she just wanted to surprise him, and she just wanted to come home from her yoga convention that she was doing. And she comes home to find her husband dead in the bathtub, bled out, with the razor on the side of the tub. So she's just kind of sits there until people find her. So it looks like that she did it. So the story for her takes off from there. And then we also get another perspective in here. The other perspective of the story is from Drew's perspective. It is a perspective that you don't really get until later on in the story. You get confused in the beginning, figuring out how two lives tie into one another. You get it eventually. Content warnings were very excessive and, in my opinion, very, very surprising. Yeah, content warning includes reference to murder, child abuse, sexual violence, suicide, mental health, addiction, racism, body shaming, and misogyny. I did not read that because it's on this side, right next to the dedications. You usually don't read them, especially if they're tiny print. This is extremely tiny. Going into this, I was very surprised. I definitely got a lot more than I bargained for as far as the content warnings. So there's a lot of hardcore topics in here. I'm not gonna lie. There's exotic dancer scenes in here. There's references to that. There's a lot of abuse. You get into that later on in the story, but so much happened in this book. I was just heartfelt for these characters to the point where my chest was hurting. So it was very hard to get through the book, but I'm glad I did because the twist definitely surprised me. Because this is a whodunit. I actually had no idea who could have possibly did it. Everyone was ruling it as a suicide because he had mental health issues. And for a while there, I also believed that. And then my brain's just well, let's think about the possibilities here, and I couldn't think of any. So it was very nicely done as far as trying to cover up the whodunit. I really enjoyed this. So I did end up giving this one a 4.5. It was really, really good. I just feel like there was so much dark that you just have to be in the right frame of mind to read this. And I read this right after The Color Purple, and I'm just like, are we going to start this off with very hardcore topics? And apparently yes, but it was good. Next one, we get a little more lighthearted. I needed this after everything that happened. It's P.S. I Still Love You. This is the second book in the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy. This is a young adult romance, but it reads so well. I love her writing. It's binge-worthy. I got through this in like 2 sittings. It was very, very, very fast. And I really enjoyed this so much. I also ended up giving this one a 4.5. So good. I think I only gave it the 0.5 off because I'm not liking where the story is going. I loved the first one so much. I thought it went really, really well, and now my inner adult is screaming at this girl because I understand when you're young, you want to experiment, you want to try dating different people, try doing different things because you know somebody's not going to do the same thing. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm screaming because it sounds so much like what I used to do. And I know better now, definitely, that going back to someone when you know it didn't work isn't always a good idea, and I just don't know where this is going anymore. I'm upset. But I am definitely going to read the third one, hopefully very soon, because I love this trilogy. It is such a good one. So for those of you who haven't read To All the Boys I Loved Before, and this is about a girl named Lara Jean. She has 2 sisters and a dad. Her mother unfortunately passed away when they were a little bit younger. You know how you write in a diary about, you know, who you like, who you don't, what are the reasons, all that fun stuff. Well, she basically had a coping mechanism of just writing down letters to the boys that she had a thing for, and one day her letters are mailed. So she has a whole bunch of letters that are flying around about like years ago people she was interested in, some of them recent too, and she's just like, oh my god, I am so embarrassed. Into fake dating, we go into family issues, we go into a lot of sisterhood moments in here. I could definitely relate to some of these, but I enjoyed this so much. It's a good, cute romance. I'm still upset about the ending because I was not happy. I am not happy. But I want to read the third one to find out if my thought, I have multiple theories in my brain and I need to figure out which one is actually going to happen. Next one that I listened to the audiobook version of is Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fanny Flagg. I swear, I love Fanny Flagg's writing so much. I love her stories. I really do. And I know this story because I watched the movie all the time when I was a kid. I still do. Occasionally I'll think about it and I'm just like, I want to watch this movie. The book, I hate it when the movie does it better because then I get disappointed. And I was disappointed. The story was good. They didn't change too much from the book to the movie. That wasn't the problem. For me, the book became a problem when I was hopping all over the place with the timeline. So for those of you who have not read the book, watched the movie, this is basically a story about a lady named Adalyn and Ninny. This is the present time, currently. Adalyn has her mother-in-law in a nursing home or a care facility, and Ninny is just one of the people there who just starts talking to her out of the blue, and they do become friends, and the story continues with them from there. The other portion of this is way in the past of Ninny's childhood, where she was a part of a family that had a lady named Idget and Ruth. So Ruth was a part of a different family. They became best friends, and that is their story. There's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of hard moments, rough moments, and just a lot of friendship and love. And I love the story very, very much. For Idget and Ruth's timeline, the movie did it better. Because for that timeline, it hopped all over the place. Versus Ruth and Ninny's thankfully stayed the same the whole way through. And I thought that's what it was going to do, but no. For Idget and Ruth's story, it was hopping back and forth the whole time. Like, it would hop here, and then continue, and then hop there, and continue. It just was back and forth, and if you don't already know the story, it is very confusing. It is. Even I was getting confused, and I went and watched the movie afterwards, and I'm like, the movie did it so much better. Which was sad. I won't be holding on to it, because I'm sad. After Fried Green Tomatoes, I was disappointed, and I wasn't happy with how it turned out, but it was still written very well. I still like Fanny Flagg's writing, and I will continue to read other books by her because I think she writes very well. She makes very lovable characters. Her plot lines are actually good. For this one, just the timelines were messed up. So that was my opinion about the story. So after I read Fried Green Tomatoes, I hopped into The Cloisters. I already told you guys about that. And then I started physically reading Belladonna. This was my other 5-star for this month. I love this so much. When you combine YA and whodunits and paranormal aspect, for those of you who consider this fantasy, I don't consider this fantasy, and I'm going to tell you why. And that was the other thing too, before I get into this, the names. The names in this made me aggravated. When you have a name like Signa for the girl, that's completely fine. But when you have a guy name who is Silas, you're too similar and too unique to where I couldn't distinguish it a couple of times. Is the only critique I have about this book, period, was just the names. So Signa, she was orphaned as a kid. It's like everywhere she went, death followed whoever she was taking care of. She also found that when she had belladonna berries, which is where this came in handy, berries, if she took a handful of them, were supposed to kill you, like, very quickly. And she took them, and she would just, like, float, see death, and then she would just resume her life. She wouldn't actually die. So she's very confused about that, and then death follows her family wherever she goes. One day, she gets a letter saying that her aunt's family wants to see her, wants to take care of her, wants to train her in order to get a husband, all that other fun stuff. Because we live in the Victorian times in this. And that was another aspect about this that I liked. The fashion, the way of living, that was all there. I really enjoyed that. So the reason why I think this is a paranormal and not a fantasy, like some people think this is that it has ghosts, it has the devil, it has demons, it has all that other stuff in there. And ghosts, to me, that's paranormal. That's not exactly, fantasy. I guess the devil part you can write off as a fantasy, but I still think that kind of ties in with the paranormal, especially since we're mostly talking about ghosts and demons and that kind of stuff. Because she can see them, she can hear them, she tries to suppress it, but then things start coming up to where she actually needs to use them. Loved these characters so much. I loved the storyline, I loved the plot line, I loved the twist at the ending. I had no idea when they came to the ending. I was so surprised. The twist, I did not see coming, period. I did not. For the romance part, I loved how they didn't turn it spicy. Because there was a scene in here that alluded to it, but it didn't go into detail, and I am so thankful because I think it would have ruined it for me if we had received that. So, I'm very happy. This is what I expected from Guide to Mischief and Mayhem. That's what I expected, and this did it. Thank God. I would have been so severely disappointed, and it probably would have ruined it for me too. but it didn't. It alluded to it, so it is technically clean. There's just a few like makeout scenes, which to me is nothing. With what I've read, it's nothing. I so really enjoyed this one. I do want to read the next two, so I will be on the hunt for those. I really, really, really enjoyed this. I think that anybody who likes ghosts or demons or whodunits should definitely do this. 100%. It's a good story. For the last one that I had from my April TBR, it was The Shining by Stephen King. I listened to the audio of this one, and this one was another 5-star. I got so creeped out. I get so creeped out by this story. And we watched the movie later. Me and my husband watched the movie because he hadn't watched it for years. So he's like, I could do a refresher, that's fine. And I was actually less scared by the movie than the book. The book was scarier, which to me is baffling because I thought it was going to be the other way around. But it wasn't. This was scarier. But so for this other 5-star, for those of you who have not read The Shining by Stephen King, this story is about a man named Jack and his wife Wendy and their son Danny. Danny has the ability to kind of do precognitive events and see what's coming or see things that other people can't. And he also had this little imaginary friend. I still don't know what went on with that, okay? I think that's the only critique I have about that is we didn't really dive much into Tony. So I'm hoping in Dr. Sleep it'll kind of clarify that a little bit because that is the next one after this one. He did do a sequel to The Shining, which is Dr. Sleep. Basically, Jack is a recovering alcoholic. He's been 5 months sober, and he recently just lost his job because he lost his temper. So they're like, well, what do we do? Well, he got an offer to go take care of a hotel for the winter time. So they're open from May to October, and then they're closed from that October until the following May. So you have from October to May to take care of the hotel, make sure everything's running, keep an eye on the boiler. You can bring your family, you know, you're going to be very isolated, so they wanted to make sure that he knew what he was getting into. And he's like, we're good, let's do this. So they are up in the mountains now. Well, Danny, because he can see things that others can't, he is starting to see things, scary things, and he's starting to hear things, and having more freak-out sessions than he used to when they were back in the other town. We've had some scary moments in here to the point where I was literally like tensing. Definitely some violence here. A little bit of blood and gore, not a lot. There's like some moments, but not a lot. I really enjoyed this. I like this as much as I like Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot was a given because it's a vampire-based story, but this one scared the crap out of me. I know some people are like, oh no, it's nothing. I'm like, when you haven't read a lot of horror, and this is classified as a horror, it's scary. Okay? I loved it. Now, as far as the critique from the book to the movie actually was really well on point in the beginning. It very well tapered off. The only physical differences I saw in the beginning was that Wendy was supposed to have blonde hair and she had brown in the movie, and Halloran was supposed to have a little bit of an afro going on from what they described in the book, and he was bald in the movie. So those were the only differences I saw, and I'm like, I'm really happy with that. But then they started adding things, they started taking things away, changing things, and I'm just like, truthfully, it's not as scary as the book. So, yeah, it was what it was. It was still an okay movie. I still cringed a little bit, but I cringed more from the book than I did the movie, and that I thought was interesting. Dr. Sleep, I did look at the trailer. That one does look a lot scarier. Because it is newer. I am a little more scared to see the Dr. Sleep movie than I was about The Shining. So, it's definitely going to keep this ball rolling. I'm hopefully going to get to Dr. Sleep. I got a physical copy And I'm so looking forward to reading that one now. I'm fully invested in Stephen King. So far, every single one has been 5 stars. And for me, that's impressive. I really enjoyed that. So after listening to Stephen King, I decided to do something I hadn't done in 3 years, and that was pick up a nonfiction book. So this is the newest one, and written also by John Green. He's the same one who wrote The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska, all those books. This book is Everything is About Tuberculosis by John Green. This story, technically, it is a story with facts in it. So we get the perspective of John going to South Africa and learning more about tuberculosis from them, going to hospitals originally for a different reason, but then he met a little boy named Henry and figured out that he was actually older than he thought and that he had tuberculosis. So he dove more into it, and now it's become a passion for him. So he wrote the story. I actually learned a lot from this, and I did give this one a 4.75 because it was good. It's very small, very short. It's only like 180 pages. It's nothing. It was very well written, but I actually retained the information. As far as how I do my ratings for nonfiction, it is going with how well I retain my information, did I actually understand it, and would I recommend it to someone who is doing a paper on it. The answer to all 3 of these is yes. I did understand the writing because sometimes it'll be simple information, but the writing makes it seem like it's so hard. The writing was very, very easy. That's why I trusted John Green with my first nonfiction in 3 years, because I needed something very small, very short, and something I could trust. And he delivered that 100%. I learned a lot about tuberculosis. It actually wasn't the disease that I thought it was. I thought it was something completely different. So I definitely learned a lot from this, and a little bit more about the history, some aspects with people in the past, famous people, some things that led from tuberculosis. It was very, very informative, and I would recommend this to anybody if you're doing a paper or you just want to learn something new. It's very easy. 180 pages is not that long. I read it in like 2 to 3 days, which for me, only because I wanted to take my time with it and actually made sure I retained the information. I really enjoyed it. It was a good new nonfiction book to read to get me back into reading nonfiction. So I'm very happy with this one. Next, I read off of my Kindle, and I had another 5-star read. Oh, I started reading Enchantra, and I am so happy that I did. I am so happy because it was just as good, if not better, than the first one, in my opinion. So the first one, you had Ophelia and Blackwell, and she entered this house where you had to compete for the ending item, pretty much. This one was about Ophelia's sister Vivi, and she went on a trip to go see a family that she thought would know more about her mother, or at least find people that were a lot like her. And she met this family, and unfortunately she met them on the day they were supposed to start a death match between the siblings. It's crazy. It is so crazy. The how and why, you guys can read about it. But this story, I absolutely loved. I loved the banter between Vivi and Rowan. It was just as suspenseful. It was just as romantic. If anything, it was better because it was a lot more of a slow burn than just being thrown into it. Kind of like how Ophelia and Blackwell had it early on. This one lasted a little bit longer, and I did appreciate that a little bit more. The ending was also, it lasted a little bit longer, to where you actually understood everything that was happening afterwards. It like could have ended abruptly, but she explained everything, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what happened. I cried. I will admit, I cried. Yeah. I love this story. It was so much fun. The only critique I have, the only one that I have, is the same thing that I had about the Belladonna one, is the names. We have 7 siblings, okay? And all of them, Rowington, Ellington, Gravington, and it goes on. The short names for them is just Rowan, Ellen, Grave, all them. Those are the 3 that I remember at the top of my head that I could keep straight in the story. I just got the names so confused. By the end of the book, I kind of had an idea about who was who, but the names were a little confusing. That is the only critique that I have. That was the only thing that kind of threw me off on the book. The writing was wonderful, the plotline was wonderful, and I loved the gore, the suspense, the game aspect again. It was a lot different than the first one, but I enjoyed it just as much. It was just as good, and she says she's gonna have another one. We shall see. Once again, I will be there for that one, because I am really, really enjoying how they're also tying in Ophelia and Blackwell into the story too. I do enjoy that part. I loved it so much. And that was my only Kindle read that I had for this month, so I was very, very happy with that. Funny enough, the next 2 were ones that were supposed to be on my May tbjar, but we're still not at the end of April yet. So I have 2 DNFs. The first one that I have that I DNF'd was the Jodie Picoult one, Keeping Faith. I got about 65 pages into this and determined it is the exact same as the other ones that I have DNF'd. So, officially, I'm not giving up on Jodie Picoult completely. I am giving her a little more critique, which means that I got rid of about 7 books off of my shelf because they were under 4 stars. I will only read the ones at this point in her career that have been a 4-star and above. I will give those a chance, but if I still don't like them, then she is just not an author for me. I am trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because I love the first one so much. But like I said, I don't know if that was just a spur of the moment thing or if I just have evolved since then. I don't know. But this one is definitely going, along with 7 others that were about the same rating as this one. This one was actually the worst out of all of them. Yeah, so we will give her another try, but it is definitely not going to be with this one today. And if you're wondering what this one's about, this one is about a lady, Mariah, and her husband, Colin. He cheated on her, left her with her daughter. Mariah has suicidal tendencies, and she just got out of an episode. And all of a sudden, Faith, her child, she starts hearing divine voices. She starts reciting biblical passages. She's never had religious beliefs at all. They, have no religious background whatsoever. And she starts creating miracles. So that's what this was supposed to be about. And it dragged so much. So much. So she became a 2. I tried. Can't say I didn't try because I gave it the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, even though I sensed it. The last one that I have for this month is The Operas by Melissa De La Cruz. This one I gave a 3, only because I enjoyed the writing. I really did. However, there was absolutely no plot line to the story whatsoever. I skipped to the end, and I wasn't confused. I would just kind of lurked into the situation and be like, oh, so they ended up doing this. Then what's the point of reading the book if you're not going to get either a plotline to it or at least some character development? They sounded the exact same. I did enjoy the writing, so I will give her the benefit of the doubt as far as her other books go, because I do have another one on my shelf that I will give a try. Since there was no plotline to this, to me there was also no character growth. I did enjoy the characters. I thought they were set up very, very well. We gave them a little bit of backstory. I actually got about 80 pages into this before I realized I don't know the plot of this. And I looked at it, and it's just like a couple of kids having a good summer. So, there's no plot line. Is there going to be a plot line? It turns out there's not. So, yeah, to me, there is no point in reading these. Maybe if I was younger and these girls' age, maybe, because they're in high school. Nowadays, I like a little plot to it, or at least something that happens, instead of just a slice of life, girls having a summer in a really, really fancy neighborhood, watching over some kids. That's it. So, there was 4 books in the series. They will all be going. And I have kept them for long enough, so I'm kind of happy that they're going, and I decided that they're not for me. So these were all of the books that I have officially read in the month of April. 2 of them were not planned, and 2 of them were added on because they were new. I, overall, had 11 books this month, 3 of which were DNFs, and 2 thrillers, 2 fantasy, technically, 2 classics, a little bit of 2 of everything, to be honest. And I really, really enjoyed them. I really did. My pages were all over the place this month because I would read some days and then I would not read others, and then I'd shut up and read a whole bunch one day and then back down, and then I read a whole bunch one week. I think this week it's been fluctuated as a mess because I have so much going on. I've just been such a reading kick. And I'm happy that I got a lot of 5-star reads this month. Next month, I have a feeling it's not going to be as good. But that's okay because I am prepared for it. There are a bunch of new books that are coming to me that I am super, super excited. I actually got to go get some this afternoon. I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. That horror and that nonfiction definitely put me out of my comfort zone, but it was in a good way. I'm very happy about that. I really enjoyed them. I really did. How the ratings go, we had a really, really, really good reading month. A lot of 5 stars. A lot of them were not. I had a lot of 4 stars though, so that was good. I was very, very happy about this choice of books this time. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching and being interested in the video. If you guys have made it this far, thank you so much. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That will help me give you guys more videos every week. And I've been doing really, really good about that. I'm very proud of myself. I will be looking forward to doing more videos and reading more new releases. I am excited for the ones that are coming. I am very, very happy with this month, and I hope you guys enjoyed your month as well. If you guys have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts. And if you guys have any more recommendations or specific Jodi Picoult books you guys think I should read, any specific Jennifer Hillier books that you think I'd be interested in, please let me know those in the comments as well. Love you, read your teas, and I'm going to go get started into reading some more. Bye!